Welcome to the home repair shop of the MTB Trail Sherpa. Today I'm going to be replacing the bushings and oil in my front shock. I've never done it before. I'm pretty intimidated by it. I'll take you through it and hopefully it comes out good. So this is my Giant Trance. I've got Fox 32's up front, and today I'm going to be replacing the bushings as well as the oil inside. I've had this bike for about 5 years now, and I have never done it before, so they're probably starting to be a little dry inside, and hopefully I can clean them out and make them work even better. To do that, I'm going to have to take the tire off. I'm going to have to take the brakes off of the fork, and as you can see, whoever put these brakes on, there's a huge screws in there, so I'm going to see if I can find a smaller matching set of screws so that I don't have all these spacers to play with. And then I've got to take the steer tube out so I have the forks separated from the bike. And to do that, I'm going to have to remove the top cap, loosen a few things up, and go from there.
Oh yeah. That was awesome.
Now, as a beginner, it's kind of tempting to try and do it with the forks still on the bike, but I'm going to do the long way because it's probably going to be easier in the long term versus feeling like I'm getting it done quicker. Let's begin. Okay. So the first step is going to be pretty easy. I'm going to take the front tire off, and then we'll work on taking the brakes off and the fork off completely off the bike. Take out the axle, the tire comes off. So the next step I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick picture of where the cabling is run. Because as good as my memory is, I'll probably forget exactly how it goes. So I'm taking a picture. Okay, I'm going to disconnect the brakes from the fork. Oh, hate it when that happens. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to take the top cap off, the stem off, and the fork should slide all the way out for me. Alright, I can see right now if I don't do this properly, I'm going to end up with a mess of everything all over the floor. So I'm going to try and take my time and get it right, because once I finish loosening this up, this is going to fly off. I've got the spacers here, which I'm going to take a picture of that also. Nothing like getting pictures to help you out. Anything that helps you make it easier, go ahead and do it. Feeling good about that. All right, I've got the forks out. Now I can start doing the bushings, oil, clean it up, get ready for this summer. One of the things I've got to do, they recommend actually, I'm going to let the air out of the shock. So when I'm working on it, it's not pressurized. And we'll depressurize the shock. There we go. Now it should be safer to work on. Alright, the next step is I need to take the bottom nuts off. It requires a 10 mil socket. Got the nut off, and there's a crush screw there, crush washer. Alright, so the next step is to tap the screw a little bit to loosen it so I can take them off. And now I should be able to take the lowers off. I'm just going to start them. I'm not going to take them all the way off because they're full of fluid, so I'm going to drain each side out into a bowl, get the waste out of there. and then we'll let it sit for a little bit and finish draining so that I can take it apart without having grease everywhere. Okay, it turns out one side was completely dry, nothing came out. The other side was still quite a bit of fluid in it, so that tells me that the bushings were still hanging in there. Now I'm going to let it drip for a little bit. Okay, I should be able to pull the lowers off, clean everything out, take the old seals out, put the new seals in. Let's pull the lowers off. There we go, that's the bottom lowers. Then we'll clean these off. Take a nice rag, nice clean rag. Wipe everything down good. What I'll probably do is I'll take this out to the garage, use my compressed air and blow it out. Same with the lowers after I've got them cleaned out. Alright, so the recommendation is take they call it a spanner. Take an open-ended box wrench, stick it in one side. You should be able to pry the old bushing out. There it is. There's the old one. Alright, well that's not what I was expecting to happen. Okay, so I got the old one out, and it was more robust trying to get it out than I expected. So I actually ripped it into two pieces. But I did get it out. And as you can see, the old one on this side, it's going to be a struggle now that I know how it's done. But they are very tough to get out, so it's not an easy thing to pop these out, which is probably good because that's holding all the pressure in. Let's try taking that second one out, see how it goes. So I did find I get more leverage if I put it on the ground and use my leverage this way. Oh, that was much better. And then the foam seal came out also. Once you know how to do it, but that first one was actually pretty tough. They're in there pretty tight. Alright, so the new seals, there's actually foam bushings that go inside, and they recommend to pre-soak these prior to installation. Now I'm going to try and clean out the lowers, get them cleaned up a little bit. I've got an old broomstick that'll fit in there, and a rag, and I'm going to try and work the rag down into there. Let's twist it a few times. Okay, one side. Let's do the other side. So the one thing I'm going to do, I've got an air compressor out of my garage. I'm going to take these out. I'm going to blow them out. I'm going to get up under the openings here and really get them clean. And then I'll bring them back. I'm not going to film that. I'm just going to go do it. Okay, so I've got them blown out. Now I'm just going to finish wiping any residual off and start the reassembly process. Alright, now comes the fun part. I've got to try and push these bushings and get them seated in the uppers. Alright, so after looking around to what could work best for this, I found I actually have a socket, 1.25 inches, and it will actually fit right over that, and I can use this to push it in on the edges. There we go, now we're seated. One down, one to go. That looks good. Okay, so these bushings actually had metal washers on them. I'm going to put those back on. I couldn't use the tool to put them in there with these on. Alright, so there's a little foam oil holder that goes inside here underneath the bushing I just put in. It's recommended to put these in last. There we go, sits in there nicely. Perfect. All right, let's put the second one in. Okay. All right, it's also recommended to put a little bit of grease on the inside of the bushings. All right, so for this, it says to extend it fully. Okay, now it recommends fitting these back together. I recommend stopping short of having things pop out. Now I can put my suspension grease in there. Okay, recommends 20 to 24 milliliters of shock oil. I'm going to put 23 in, 22 and a half. Should be good. Okay, now I'm going to put a crush ring back on there and the socket. Be careful you don't cross thread these on there. So the recommendation is just to get it snug. Snug it up. Now I got to put it back on the bike. Let's do that. Okay, let's see if we can put everything back together in the order in which it came off. And actually, before I finish this, I'm going to pump up the shock and just see if it holds air. Alright, so I've got air in it. When I'm done putting everything back together, I'll check it, see if the pressure has gone down any significantly. Otherwise, it's holding air. Okay, the brakes are snugged up. Let's put the tire on, see how everything looks. Alright, so I've got the shocks done, everything back together. I'm going to have to tweak the brakes a little bit. They're a little bit rubbing yet. I'll focus on those shortly. See if the shock has lost any pressure, and if not, I'll pump it back up to its normal operating pressure. We'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped you. I showed my mistakes along the way because I was learning as I went. Getting the old bushings out was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. And getting the new bushings in was a lot harder too. You want to have something that fits the shape. And as I said, I had an 1.25 inch socket to go over the top, which was nice. It gives me some leverage to push down in the right spots. But they did go in pretty tough. We'll see if they sealed up. Alright, so it looks like it didn't lose any air. I pumped it up actually higher than I normally ride it. And it's at a good spot. I'm going to bring it back down to my normal riding pressure. Hopefully that's going to work good for me this summer. And it needed it. They're getting pretty worn out. Don't know how much longer they're going to last, but the repairs took me probably an hour and a half because I really didn't know what I was doing. I took my time. Didn't have all the right tools compared to a bike shop, but you can do it at home and still have the same results. And yeah. In summary, I actually ordered the parts back in May of 2021. I'm just putting them now in February of 2022. And the bushings themselves, a new kit cost me $26. and about an hour and a half of my time. But think it through before you do it. There are some difficulties involved. Making sure you take everything off in the correct order, or you're going to have oil all over the place, and it'll be tougher when you put everything back together. I took a couple pictures of things, which actually aided me when I went to put everything back together on the brakes and the stem. Did a nice cleaning on everything. So there's going to be probably some grease on here throughout initially as these get re-lubricated, and that's a good thing. And the only thing I have left to do is just fine-tune my brakes, putting them back together. They're a little bit off, so they're a little bit sticky, but that's a minor repair, just an adjustment actually. But yeah, if you wanted to do it at home, take your time, think it through, watch a couple videos like I did, research it, and have at it, because now when I go back out, I'll have the comfort of knowing it's a repair I did, and if something goes wrong, I can blame somebody else anyway. Otherwise, good luck with your repairs. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe at the bottom. That'll help me out long run. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because I enjoy doing the repair work. I haven't done bike repairs in a long time because just intimidated by the new bikes. So it was about time I put some TLC into my bikes, and you can tell this one's getting pretty long in the tooth. I'll keep riding it because I really enjoy this bike. Thanks for watching. Take time to enjoy your journey.